I am Ted Nyquist with the Midwest chapter of the American Rhododendron Society. This video is the second in this series where we hear from John Migas, owner of Woodlands Nursery in Saugatuck, Michigan, where he shows us how he grows his rhododendrons and azaleas. This video shows us how he prepares his soil for planting. Additional videos with John Migas can be found on our chapter website at www.midwestars.org. These include fertilization and examples of various rhododendrons that perform well in his climate. You can also call John directly. His phone number can be found in the introduction to this video.
Hi, my name's John Migas, and I live here in Saugatuck, Michigan. We're a Zone 6 climate. We are due east of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. My home here is about 1 mile from Lake Michigan. We have a sandy soil, a lot of pine trees, a lot of mature oak trees. So my soil is, as for planting rhododendrons and azaleas, is excellent to start out with. One of the things I do is when I plant, I amend the soil. I make my own soil by using pine bark and composted leaves and pine needles. So we mix that up, and through this video we're going to explain how I do it and what's the best thing that you can do back at home for yourself. When creating my soil for planting, one of the additives I use here is aged pine bark. And all this is aged pine bark that has been screened to about 1 inch. This pile here is about 2 years old, so it's been breaking down really good. It's 1 part, and we're going to go on and show you what else I use. This is part 2 of my amended soils. Starts out with last year's leaves, which is oak leaves and pine needles. I let it sit here and it decomposes over the years. That's from 1 and 2 years ago. This pile here is from 3 years ago. The pile that's in front of me is from 4 to 5 years ago. This is actually just decomposed oak leaves and pine needles. This is a mix that I put with the aged pine bark, and those are the 2 parts of my planting soils. Okay, getting to part 3 of my amended soils. If I'm planting in the ground, I use the 3rd part is the existing soil of the hole that I dig. If it is not clay. If it's clay, I just use the 2 parts. If it's sand, as we have here, I'll add a little bit of that to it. If it's going to be a potted plant that I'm going to repotting, I use perlite. If everybody knows perlite's the little white styrofoam balls, and I add that, and that's my 3rd part for my potting plants. So I have a combination of pine bark, aged composted leaves, and either a sandy soil for planting in the field or perlite, which I use for pots. And we're going to get into fertilizers in the next little segment.
I hope you found this video informative from John Migas. In the ensuing video, you're going to hear how John fertilizes his rhododendrons and azaleas. I think you'll find it very interesting.